Yeah. Hey. Yo, cut that.
Hey.
Howdy.
Hey guys, welcome to I'm Not Racist. My teacher was black in high school.
She was?
Yeah. I like to switch it up every time because it gives perspective.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not black. My auntie married a black guy.
Yeah.
I'm not racist. Anyways.
I feel that.
Because I know you always feel weird when I change it up. You're like, that's not the name of the show. But I'm like, I know, but like.
What the heck?
But like, you know, I feel like it kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
Look at our cute lights, you guys. Aren't we cute?
I don't know if they can tell. It's more of a background thing.
Wow, I'm embarrassed as fuck.
Yeah. It's all good.
Well, anyways, we've been working on a lot of new shit. So, you know, production's looking better and better every time. Yeah, feels?
That's the goal. Just get a little bit better every time.
Yeah, dig? You got your Ganesh behind you?
Oh, yeah.
We got that in...
Got that good energy.
Yeah, we got that in New York, in Queens, on Liberty Ave. Shout out Trini Roti Shop. You know what it is.
Queens.
Terror Squad.
Who's the Big Body Best?
Big Body Best. Yo, I saw Big Body Best one time in
What
New York,
happened?
riding
Tell me
around.
about it.
He was definitely mad coked out, and he was like hanging outside the window like, what up? I'm like, hey.
What'd he say?
I can't remember what he said, but I told you what he said. Didn't he say something?
Where's the coke?
Yeah, where's the coke? Where's the coke? That's what he said. I was like, damn, okay, Manhattan. So
All
yeah,
right.
shout out Big Body Best.
You know, he's doing it. He's doing it
he
for the
was-
streets.
He was sweating like a mug, but you know, it's all good.
Yeah.
What's up? What's new with you?
Man, stuff's getting busy. I think I said that last time. So,
Yeah,
you know, it is what it is, but stuff's getting busy.
consistently
Shows,
busy. I like that.
new album coming soon, new merch.
New
all
merch.
kinds of stuff with cheat codes. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, for the podcast, we got all kinds of new stuff coming.
Yes. Some new guests. We have a really cool episode that just came out with Sabria Majors and Norman Towns. Go check that out. She is a really beautiful plus size model, and Norman is a actor who's on Insecure last season and this new season. So you should check that out.
And today we're here with our good friend Akash.
What up?
The homie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there he is. There
oh my,
he is.
Oh my God.
What do you do, shawty? Okay, so Akash is our really good friend, and he's Nugget's uncle.
That's me.
He's a
And-
godfather.
Yeah, he's a godfather. And he's from the UK. And next time that he comes on the show, he's going to show us beans on toast.
Okay.
That sounds so UK. I'm going to lose my mind.
I'm
It's like the most UK thing I've ever heard.
I'm apprehensive, but it's all good. It's all good. Okay, let's jump right into this joint, y'all.
Yeah, let's
All right.
do it.
So Johnson & Johnson recalled their last vaccine. Federal health agencies will temporarily stop using Johnson & Johnson's one-dose vaccine after 6 women developed blood clots, according to officials on a new report Tuesday. The Food and Drug Administration announced the pause, saying that there's been half a dozen reports of a rare and severe type of blood clot in patients who received the vaccine. Those affected were 6 women between the ages of 18 and 48 who developed the clots within about 2 weeks of vaccination. 1 died, and a second in Nebraska was hospitalized in critical condition.
Yeah. Okay, well, I did some reading. I did do some reading on this. I saw that, I don't know, it's probably, I think it was like it's either 1 in 1,000 or 1 in a million chance or something
Okay.
for you to get blood clots. So it's like a very, very low percentage. But, I mean, the FDA came out and basically pulled it from the federal funding or the federal list or whatever of like approved vaccines.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're just going to go back and fix it or do more trials or whatever. But
Yeah, which is scary though, because like
I think it's kind of coming off more scary than it actually is, because the thing that a lot of people don't realize is America already has more vaccines with the other 3 companies than there are people in America.
okay, cool.
So we don't really need the Johnson & Johnson one.
Right, but I guess there's a lot of people who have taken that one. So
Yeah.
But, you know, they were saying people don't need to worry yet. And so it says here that You need to contact a doctor only if you received the vaccine and you're experiencing severe headaches, abdominal pain, leg pain, or shortness within breath after 3 weeks of receiving the jab.
That's what it says. The jab.
Jab.
The hell?
Okay. So yeah, but you know what's funny about COVID is COVID causes blood clots. So the fact that obviously the vaccine is the same thing as COVID because they're just injecting you with a smaller dose of COVID, so your body can build the antibiotics to fight the virus. So it makes sense, but damn, I feel like blood clots is the last thing I want.
Yeah. I look at the Johnson & Johnson one more as a convenience.
Yeah.
You know?
Why do you say that?
Because it was the one shot.
It's like one shot.
Oh, I didn't
Right.
know that. Okay.
It's supposed to be like
Yeah.
it's supposed to get you to the point where you're not hospitalized.
Okay.
But it was like one shot.
Yeah, so
Whereas the others are all 2 shots.
maybe they putting too much juice in one tube. Like, that's scary.
Yeah, it's like the full Corona in all in one shot.
That's the big
Fine,
body
yeah.
best of vaccines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn, scary.
But it's the second vaccine with blood clots.
Okay.
Because in Europe they said that there's the one they had developed in the UK.
I don't think you're showing up.
Oh,
I
my
think,
bad.
I think your camera. You probably just have to.
Oh.
Yeah.
Your shit went into sleep mode.
There's a vaccine in Europe, and tons of people have died from blood clots.
Because of the vaccine?
Yeah, because of the AstraZeneca one. So it's the second vaccine now that's causing.
And that's interesting
Blood
because
clots?
because I don't think so. For people to die from getting the vaccine and die of blood clots is very interesting to me because it's like people aren't even dying of COVID because of the blood clots.
Mhm.
So it's like, damn. It's like you want the blood clot or you want like the ventilator. You got to choose. I mean, I feel like I might need the ventilator because blood clots, you don't know when those are happening in your body. The breath you can kind of feel. You know, blood clots is just one day you got a clot and it goes to your heart and then like you have no idea, you're just dead.
Well, the ones in Europe are in the brain.
Oh Lord.
Yep.
Brain aneurysm. Oh Lord Jesus. That's scary. Yeah, so if you're experiencing any of those things, that will be time to contact a doctor just in case. They are saying
Speak to your doctor.
they're saying people shouldn't worry though. So
Also, it seems to be just in young people because they said in Europe, in the UK, they said anyone aged between 18 and 30
yeah.
are not going to get offered the AstraZeneca one.
Okay, great.
So it seems to just be happening in young people.
Yeah. Are you guys gonna get vaccinated?
I'm gonna ride it out a little bit.
Same.
I got mine.
Akash. Oh, you did?
Yeah,
One of two or
the Pfizer one.
Okay,
Both
cool.
of them.
okay, sick. Did you feel anything after it?
Yeah, but I've heard people that have had COVID before get worse side effects than people that
Got it.
haven't had it. I had
Okay.
bad side effects.
You did.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. Wow, fuck. Like what was it? How long?
Just like fatigue and like a temperature, maybe like 3 days.
Do you think that you test positive for COVID after?
Uh,
You get the
I
vaccine?
had you test positive for antibodies. If you get an antibody test, you'll test positive.
Okay, but not for the virus.
No,
That makes sense. But
unless you have an active infection, which is possible because
Because-
nothing's 100%.
because what if you got the vaccine and then like for me like going to set and then like you get the vaccine but technically they're infecting you with COVID, couldn't you test positive?
You will test positive for antibodies, which is a good thing,
Got it.
but
That
not
makes
for the
sense.
virus.
Okay, good. Scary. Very scary. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna get the vaccine. I mean, if I'm forced to travel, then yes.
You got to get that vaccine passport.
I don't want it. What is that?
They won't let you travel international without the passport.
Okay, fine.
They just
Twist my arm.
yeah. They're like I like traveling too much.
No, I love traveling. But I don't think. Do you have to have it to go back to the UK?
No, but they're going to make a system where if you've had the vaccine, then you won't need to quarantine for 10 days.
Because you have to quarantine upon arrival.
Yeah. So that's what they're going to do. They'll probably ease up quarantine restrictions if you've had the vaccine. They can't. No one can ever make you take it, and no one can ever say you can't travel. But I think it's going to be an inconvenience because you're going to have to quarantine. If you wanted to go on a
Right,
2-week
right.
vacation to London, like you have to then go for 4 weeks because 2 weeks will be in quarantine, 2 weeks will be vacation.
Well, I'm sorry. Who the hell can
Yeah.
afford a 10-day quarantine in London?
Yeah.
Unless you know somebody, and then what? You quarantining with people that like are not scared of you giving them the virus?
Right.
Like,
But aren't they government-run hotels usually?
Yeah.
oh, they
normally.
are.
No, but that's only if you're like on the red list. But the US isn't on the red list for some reason.
Well, shit.
It's diplomatic, I think.
America.
Also,
America.
I have to tell you guys something funny. When I was at dinner with my dad the other day, or I visited him for Easter, he was like, "Oh my God, like, how's your podcast going?" I'm like, "It's going really good." And he was like, "Yeah, I wanted to tell my friend to watch it." He's like, "But you curse so much." And he's like, "Do you think you could stop?" And I'm like, "I don't think I can." He's just
We
like,
could practice.
He's like, "You curse a lot, Courtney." He's like, "I was really embarrassed to tell my friend to watch it." And I was like, "Dad, like, this is a little bit of insight into who I truly am." I was like, "Do you want to know me, Dad? Do you want to know the real me, Dad?" I put that on him. He was like, "All right, I guess you're right." I'm like, "Yeah, fool."
Put him on blast.
Just kidding. I never said "yeah, fool" to him. I didn't say that.
You would never disrespect him like that.
I wouldn't have the chance. Hell no. Okay, so I found this video. Okay, so actually, let me give some backstory. This event happened last year of December, and I didn't hear about it. And the only reason I'm hearing about it now is because this veteran is now suing these two cops. So I'm just going to read a little bit about what happened, and then I'll show you guys the video. Okay, a second lieutenant in the U.S. Army is suing two Virginia police officers over a traffic stop last December, which the officers drew their guns, pointing them at him, and using a slang term to suggest he was facing execution before pepper spraying him and knocking him to the ground. Body camera footage shows Caron Nazario, who was black and Latino, was dressed in uniform with his hands held in the air outside the driver's side window as he told the armed officers, "I'm honestly afraid to get out." And the officer replied, "Yeah, you should be." One of the officers responded during the stop at a gas station, "I don't even want to reach for my seatbelt. Can you please? My hands are out. Can you please? Look, this is really messed up." Nazario stammered upon being pepper sprayed, his eyes clenched shut. The officer shouted conflicting orders as Nazario telling him to put his hands outside the window while telling him to open the door.
The window?
I know, I'm like, can't read today. God damn, he messed me up. While telling him to open the door and get out. Okay, so this is the fucked up part right here. The officer said he was fixing to ride the lightning, a reference to the electric chair, which was also a line from the movie In the Green Mile, a film about a black man facing execution. So basically, these two cops are being sued, and I'm going to show you the video.
So what did he get pulled over for?
They don't know. I don't really know why he got pulled over. I think it was just like a routine traffic stop is what they're saying.
So routine traffic stop, you get the electric chair?
Well, I think he was making a joke, and it wasn't a funny joke, obviously.
Going back.
Felony traffic stop.
Put your hands out the window.
Felony traffic stop, 1836.
Put your hands out the window. Turn the vehicle off. Put your hands out the window. How many occupants?
All units 1013, 804, 803, felony stop. 18 Windsor, 1 East
Put
Windsor.
your hands out the window and turn the vehicle off. Put your hands out the window. Come around your side. See your hands. How many occupants in the vehicle? How many occupants are in your vehicle? Open the door slowly and step out. Open the door. Get out the car. Open the door slowly and get out. Get out of the car now.
I'm
Open the
sorry.
door, get out the
Pause it
car.
for a second. A routine traffic stop requires both of your guns to be out, screaming at the top of your lungs. I'm sorry. Okay.
Hold. Keep your hands outside the window. Keep your hands outside the window. Get out of the car now. Get out of the car. Now. Get out of the car now.
Keep your hands outside of the window, but yet get out of the car? Because how is he supposed to open it from the outside?
Get out of the car now. Yo, what? Guess what? I'm a veteran too. I learned to obey. Get out of the car. Get out of the car now. What's going on is you're fixing to ride the lightning, son.
You're fixing to ride the lightning, son.
Oh, maybe it's talking about his taser, I think.
No, because that line was also in The Green Mile.
It was also an album by Metallica, But I'm saying it looked like he was threatening to tase him right there.
Get out of the car now. Get out of the car.
Sir, just get out the car. Work with us and we'll talk to you. Get out the car.
You received an order. Obey it.
I'm honestly afraid to get out. Can I?
Yeah, you should be. Get out. Get out.
Get out the car.
Get out now.
It's like they could de-escalate it so much so easy at any point. They could just be like, "Don't be afraid to get out of the car. We're not going to hurt you."
100%.
Like that's all they have to say. That's all they have to say.
Or it's just like
I don't know why they pulled him over. So it's like sometimes you see this footage and it just cuts to straight when they're yelling and they're like, "Wow, why'd you have to yell from the jump?" And who knows what happened before that. But either way, it's like he's like, "I'm afraid to get out of the car," and he's like, "You should be." It's like, what? You don't need to say that. Why would you? That's not your job. Why should I be afraid of the police? That's not that's it's so dumb. It's like
I mean,
I'm saying that's not their job. I understand why people are afraid of the police. I'm saying, yeah, you should be. Why?
Right.
You're being stopped for a traffic violation. You're not cooperating at this point right now. You're under arrest for you're being detained. Okay, you're being detained for obstruction of justice.
Traffic violation. I do not have to get out the vehicle. You haven't even told
Really?
me why I'm being stopped.
Really?
Get
Get out of the car now. Get out of the car.
Get your hands off me.
Get out of the car.
Get your hands off me.
You know what?
Get your hands off me.
Not a
Get your
problem.
hands off me.
Back up,
I
Daniel.
didn't do anything. Don't do that.
Sir, get out of the car now.
Hey, sir.
Get out of the car now.
Sir, look, I'm trying to talk
Get out.
to you. Okay. I'm trying to talk.
Get out.
Just get out of my car. Can you please relax? Can
Get
you
out.
Please relax.
Get out of the car right now. Now.
This is not how you treat a vet. I'm actively serving this country, and this is how you're gonna treat me.
Back up, Daniel.
I didn't do anything.
Back up.
Whoa, hold on.
Daniel.
What's going? Hold on.
unnecessary.
Oh, he pepper sprayed him.
Unnecessary. You don't need to fucking pepper spray somebody 3 times, 4 times,
Get out of the car.
and now you're asking somebody who's pepper sprayed to get out of the car.
That's fucked up.
Get out of the car now.
Sir, just get out the car. I'm trying to breathe.
Get out of the car now.
That's fucked up. That's really fucked up.
Yeah, get out of the car and get on the ground now. You're gonna get it again.
I don't even want to reach for my seatbelt.
Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car. Get out of the car now. Listen, take off your seatbelt and get out of the car.
Look,
The other cop looks scared as hell.
You're gonna do what you're told.
He's
Get
young.
out of the
Look how
car.
young he is.
Take your seatbelt off and get out.
He's like in his early 20s or something.
So
It's
young.
like-
He's scared. So scared.
Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car.
hands are out.
Don't reach in there, Daniel. Don't reach in there.
My hands are out. Please,
Aw.
please. Look,
Look at him. Look at the demeanor of the other kid.
really messed up. My dog is in the back. My dog is choking right
Get
now.
out of the car. Take your seatbelt off. What are you, a specialist? Corporal, what are you?
I'm a lieutenant.
Lieutenant, get out of the car. Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car. You made this way more difficult than it had to be if you just complied. Get out of the car.
I'm reaching for my seatbelt.
Fine. Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car. Straight onto the ground. Straight onto the ground.
Ma'am, is your commanding officer available?
Down. Let's go.
Is your commanding
Let's
officer
go.
available?
Get on the ground. Get on the
Can you
ground.
please talk to
Get
me
on the
about what's
ground
going
now.
on?
Get on the ground and you're getting sprayed again. Get on the ground.
Can you please talk to me
I don't
about
understand
what's going on?
why in a traffic violation would you need to pull somebody out of the car and get them on the ground?
Wouldn't. It
Especially-
wasn't even a violation. It was a traffic stop.
A traffic stop. So in the event that
Isn't he at a gas station?
Yeah, but that's obviously the safest place he could pull over.
we'll think,
Which is wise because it's lit up
yeah, it's lit.
and it's dark.
Yeah. Wow.
So what'd they pull him over for?
Just a traffic stop. Routine.
Get on the ground now.
Can you please talk to me about what's going on? Can you please talk to me about what's going on? You're not. Can you please talk to me about what's going on? Why am I being treated like this? Why?
Because you're not cooperating. Get on the ground.
Why am I being treated like
This is an attempt at power.
this? This is really messed up. Sir, well, just one.
Is the cops coughing now because of the pepper spray?
Yeah, there's cross contamination.
Like, bro.
Okay. All right. So switch back and then we'll. That's totally fine. We can cut all that. Okay. I mean, it's infuriating to see the lack of patience that they have for anyone, let alone black people. And it's just like, what the fuck? Like, why are they so angry off the rip? I don't get it. Over a traffic stop. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Where was this at?
Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
The one thing that's like really common in all of these situations, though, is that all of these police officers tend to go from 1 to 100 like
100%.
straight away. Like
I think, yeah, I don't know. It's like they're like fucking scared, or they have like PTSD, or they're just like,
right.
I don't know. It's like, but you're totally right. As far they're telling him to do like two or three different things at the same time, and he's like, I don't know what to do. Like, do you want me to get out of the car, or do you want me to hold my hands outside the window? It's like, the fuck. Like, you need to have at least enough composure to like give clear instructions on like what you want.
And and I feel like immediately when the video started, his voice was like yelling. Like, he's not even like, okay, sir, you've been pulled over for a traffic stop. We need you to exit the vehicle. He's like, get out the fucking car. Like, it to me, it just doesn't like, is it the training? Like, or are y'all just so like far gone that you can't be trained? I don't know.
I honestly think it's
Oh, something to mention. Akash used to be a cop.
Oh, yeah.
So we got to get the police
Yeah.
expertise over here. It's different in London, I'm assuming. There's probably more training, I'm assuming, or just more funding.
It's different, but I think it's in sense of the training. I think it's you're more taught in terms of like there's a framework. So the whole framework revolves around human rights. So much so to the point where you're almost thinking, am I justified in doing this? Like, and the human rights framework goes as such as like, are your actions proportionate, legal, accountable, and necessary? And if one of those aren't satisfied, then it can be infringing on that person's human rights. And this, like, in all of these situations, you meet force with force or higher force because obviously you want to subdue that person, but there's nothing here to show that.
It seems like a lot of these situations have in common, like you said, they're like traffic stops. It's like, why? Like that should just be taken off the table in general. Like, if it's a traffic stop and he's, I don't know, committing some sort of crime or whatever, just let him go. Who cares? Like, unless he's like really endangering, like, you know what I mean, the community, then who cares? Like, just discharge him.
Why does he need to get out of the car?
Right.
Go to his house, like look up his information, like charge him later. You know, it doesn't have to be like this.
Not to mention, let me just say this: when he pulls him over, he runs his plates. That car is probably his. So when you're a lieutenant, I guarantee you that shit shows up. And so for me, and not to say that this is, you know, a white black thing, but I do think that, you know, they saw that he was a black man and they treated him differently. I'm sorry, I feel like black people are met with a lot more aggression than other races, and that's just the way that I feel.
They know who they're pulling over 100%. Before they pull over. Like, also the other thing to mention is that there was an unmarked car there. There was a marked and an unmarked car. So they know who they're pulling over in the sense that they know what they're going to be met with. They know who the registered owner is. Yeah. If that person's known, if they've been arrested, all this stuff. So that's all known before. You have a level of intelligence that you build up before you even pull the stop. Yeah. And, you know, if the car's registered male and it's female driving, then you're like, oh wait, this doesn't add up. Right. But the fact that the one thing I was going to say before about force was that, like, every situation you tend to look at, one hand is always on the hip. I don't know why their natural reaction is just to reach for a gun, because the simple act of putting your hand on your gun is a use of force. Yeah. Because, like, I would feel threatened if someone put their hand on their gun, didn't even draw it. Yeah. That's a use of force. Like, just in the same way, if I reach for something on my belt.
I think part of the reason why traffic stops they're so heightened, and it seems unnecessarily heightened, is because these cops either watch videos or they're experiencing other cops where in like a split second, they reach the back seat, grab a gun and pop them. So they're just like,
how often does that happen though? How often do people load off on cops? It's so rare these days that it's like people can't use that excuse anymore that someone might shoot at the cops. Nobody's ever trying to shoot at the cops because people know when you kill a cop, it's 25 to life. And you're not going to do that if it's a simple traffic stop. You're not going to risk all of that because you got pulled over because you got a warrant to kill a cop. You're just not. You're going to try and leave. You're going to try and skirt out, maybe get into a police chase, but you ain't going to pull no gun on no cop.
But I don't know if I like fully agree with what you're saying on that, but I think that like what Akash was saying, the force should be dependent on like, what are we pulling this guy over for? You get what I'm saying? Like, did he murder somebody? Okay, like let's like pull up aggressive. Like, we need to protect our community. You get what I'm saying? But if it's like, oh, he ran a red light. Oh, he has an air freshener or whatever. It's
I'm not arguing the fact that they pulled him over. Like, any police officer can pull over anyone for any reason, without reason. Like, the simple fact that you're in control of that vehicle, that police officer has a right to pull you over to check your documents. If it transpires into something else, i.e. you're wanted, your tags are out, like whatever, that's a separate issue to be dealt with. But any police officer can pull someone over to check their documents, to make sure you're insured, you've got a license. But the fact that a simple traffic stop in several of these situations end up in someone's death or ill treatment is like...
Also, it just watching that video, if I was like, I don't know, this might be a stupid question or observation, but if I was a cop or I was just looking at this from like a training tactical perspective, it's like he has his hands out the window and both the cops are approaching the same side.
Right.
Doesn't it make more sense for like the other cop to go around the other side? Like right. Maybe investigate, make sure there's no one else in the car, make sure he said he had a dog in the back. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. The other cop looked hella young. He looked hella scared. he looked like
it almost looked like to me that the younger cop knew this wasn't right.
Yeah.
It felt like he was like, "Oh fuck, this doesn't feel right."
Once he got pepper sprayed, you could see he was like, "Oh god,
like,
what the hell did we just do?"
100%.
His instinct was to go in and like help the guy.
Yeah.
But then the other guy was like, "No, move away."
Yeah, he was like, "Just get out, man. Just get out, man. Just get out of the car." So I could tell he probably was like, "Oh shit," you know. And you can see that, and you can read that. If you watch that a couple times, you can read body language. You totally can.
You could see him looking at the camera.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I just felt like I understand why the dude didn't want to get out of the car, because it's like once you get out of the car, it's fair game. You don't know what the fuck is about to happen. But I also think that he should have gotten out. And you know what I'm saying? Because I just think that sometimes you just got to comply a little bit. Because honestly, I feel like there should be a compliance class that we have to teach our young black children. And I hate that we have to do that. But it's like if that's going to save lives and if that's going to, that's going to allow the police to do whatever power struggle they're dealing with to get through that right now, then that's what we need to do. Because you pepper spraying somebody because they don't want to get out of the car because they're scared of you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
You think, you just said if he gets out of the car, then it's fair game. So you think it's more dangerous for him to be outside of the car?
I think it's more dangerous to be outside of the car based on how they treat you physically. I think they can get more hold on you and they can
but that's
the George Floyd shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know I don't know if I agree with that in the sense that I think cops are the most scared when you're in the car because they can't see everything. They don't know.
Right. But for you as the person getting pulled over, you're more scared outside of the car because you don't know what force they can use.
But an easy way forward to de-escalate that would be to say, roll down your windows before you approach the car. Totally. So you can see into the car, you can see if there's anyone else, you can see where the hands are at. And then after that you approach, because then you know that if the suspect's hands are out or you can see them, that's the main thing. You just have to be able to see the hands.
And also, let's talk about this. What about the respect for this man dressed in uniform?
Right. It's one thing to be off duty, not in uniform, and say I'm a lieutenant, but to be in uniform is like...
And to still treat him like that based off and this is someone who's serving in the army. You would think that they would be like, they would love him because they're doing the same job and working for the people.
Well, the other guy was a veteran.
Yeah,
the other police officer
I
was
wonder if there was like an army base or something nearby too. Like, you should know in that community. That it just seems like a lot of these issues too, it's like community based, because at the end of the day, they're enforcing these communities' laws and they need to know the community and know like, oh, these are the people that live in our community. Like this is what's going on. There's vets here. There's this here. There's suburban moms here. There's this kind of crime here, whatever, and treat that appropriately. It's like the fact that they're just like, they almost like didn't believe that he was in the army.
Well, 100%.
You know what I mean?
It's like
absolutely. And I think that also goes into saying, I feel like there's a certain level of disrespect for black men in power sometimes. And I think that him having that suit on kind of was like, oh, you think you're fucking tough? We'll show you, get your ass out of the car. We're going to pepper spray you. And I don't want to equate that always to race because I hate doing that. But I feel like in this case, this does feel relevant. I don't feel like in any other situation, if he was a white guy, would they have treated a lieutenant the same way? No, because they probably would have thought they would have lost their fucking jobs.
Right.
You know what I mean?
In fairness to the police, I feel like in this one situation, it was a good example of how when they always come back and say there's always bad apples, it clearly shows because that one guy, the young police officer, wanted to do right.
He did, I could tell.
I feel like if the other guy wasn't there, he probably still would have had his gun drawn, but he would have probably approached the vehicle.
Did he have his gun drawn or did he have a taser?
Yeah, from the outset, it was a gun.
Yeah, I couldn't tell either.
It was a gun.
I thought one of the guys had a taser, and that's why he was like, "You're about to ride the lightning" or whatever.
that was the guy that said, yeah, you better. So the young officer had a gun drawn.
You should be scared. And yeah, let's talk about that. Why the hell would you tell somebody that you're asking to get out of the car? You should be scared. What does that mean?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I mean, it makes perfect sense, but why would you say it? It makes absolute perfect sense, but
he's power tripping.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, what is the point of that? It's like,
it also is that, you know, it goes deeper. Is it like, even if you put power aside, are we bringing race into this and saying, yeah, you should be because like you're black and I'm like, you know, it's like all of the issues that have existed.
It makes you question things.
I don't know if it's necessarily that. I just think that he pulled he pulled him over. He told him to get out of the car. And this guy was a vet, and he probably, you know, like you said, he was scared to get out of the car, and he's just like, I don't want to get out of the car. And for him to not comply in that moment just set that dude off for whatever reason. He just went 0 to 100. He has no emotional intelligence or whatever to just be like, okay, you know what I mean? And then he's yelling and drawing his gun immediately, and then it just escalates from there instead of like.
To me, that cop, those two cops, the older guy was the one in charge, and the younger guy was either training or he was new to the field because he directed him not to go in. I've never seen a cop tell another cop not to do something.
It was just to do with time of service because they were both. There was two cars there, and there was 2 police officers. That means they were both riding solo. So that means the younger police officer was experienced enough, whether it's a year, 2 years, to be riding solo.
Okay. Because I'm like, because the fact that he told him, he's like, no, don't do that. Yeah. I've never heard a cop tell.
It's happened to me. It happened to me in the past where people will come in and I would do something and they'll be like, "No, I've got this," or like step away. But what they were doing was very questionable. Like, but at the end of the day, it's like we had to write everything down. We had to justify our actions, which in this country doesn't seem like is being done. There's no accountability.
No, or any reciprocate or any consequences for your actions. Like.
Yeah,
clearly not.
Which is accountability.
Well, good thing we have Akash here to actually
100%
fact check us on how policing actually works. I mean, you were in the UK, so I'm sure a lot of it's different.
And I'm sure they love black people over there. Like, I feel like the black shit is not a thing over there.
It is a thing, but like we with the George Floyd protest, we had the same thing happen 10 years prior.
Wow. The
same thing, and it's like that's the one thing that got to me when all the protests were going on here. It's like we as a world had, because I'm pretty sure it hit news, but maybe it wasn't as major as George Floyd because that was like worldwide, you know?
Yeah.
But it was the same thing. It was 10 years prior. All that was different was the name of the person and the way they died.
Yeah.
This guy got shot, but it sparked protests all over London, all over the UK. There was rioting, looting, fires. It was the same thing that happened here, but just in another country.
Right.
And it's like the fact that we didn't learn anything as a civilization after 10 years like doesn't give you much hope. But
I mean, I don't know. I think I don't have the belief that overall like society is racist or like the world just overall hates more than there is love. Like I think there's more love and joy and connection and compassion in the world than the other. But I think
in certain places,
I think it comes down to a policy thing. It's like if policies don't change in a certain way, then it's going to keep happening. Like, why wouldn't it keep happening? You know what I'm saying?
Like in the UK, it's different. So there is a contentious, like it's contentious with the African American, like the African community, but it's like, it's different in the sense that it's unproportionate stop and searches. Here it's just unproportionate death. Like it's just straight death. Like in the UK, it's not death. It's like, they're getting stopped and searched. Yeah. They don't find drugs. They don't find weapons. They're let go. But it's the fact of being stopped and searched. So it's still a thing, but it's in a different capacity.
Right.
They're living.
Well, there's some light at the end of the tunnel. He is suing them. And I did see a couple interviews from police chiefs around like this couple different states, basically saying that they were acting racist and blatantly disrespectful and they should be looked into. And so he is a really good lawyer. So I'm hoping they opened a criminal investigation. So, you know, let's say some prayers that he gets justice because that shit was trash. 100%. Okay, well, let's move on to something lighter before I get stressed out and pop a goddamn blood vessel on this bitch.
What a time to be alive.
I know, right? God. You know, it also sometimes also makes me worry because, like, you know, you have people who you grow up with and who are black or, like, people that you know and you're like, especially me being from Minnesota, like, I know a lot of people who live in all of those areas. So it's like, you just never know. It could be, and my brother lives there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you honestly just never know. Say my brother's riding around in the car with one of his high school friends, you know? the high school friend has a fucking warrant. My brother doesn't know or some shit. They're riding in the car. All of a sudden, the friend's like getting mouthy with the cop, and all of a sudden, shit escalates, and my brother gets shot. You know what I'm saying? And like that, I think about those things. It's like there really isn't any like.
It doesn't take much.
No, it doesn't take much, and like it doesn't feel that far removed because I'm from there, but also I live in a different life here. But it also could affect me very dramatically. So I don't know. I think about that often. It's very scary. But yeah, let's switch it up because we're going to get back to that because we're going to talk about Duante Wright. But okay, so this is a very interesting article that I just found, which also has to do with race, but of the Indian culture.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so Hank Azaria. Do you guys know who that is?
No.
Okay, I'll pull up a picture and show you guys. But he is the voice of Apu on The Simpsons.
Oh.
Yes, I've heard of this guy.
Okay, so he's basically ditching the role because he feels he has to say sorry to every Indian person he encounters.
Interesting.
Interesting, right?
Wait, I thought the guy that did the voice wasn't Indian.
He's not.
He's
Oh, okay.
That's
okay.
he's white.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
so,
like
okay,
that's actually really
So
interesting.
this is what he says. I'm just going to quote what he says. Part of me feels like I need to go to every single Indian person in the country and personally apologize. And sometimes I do. Hank also learned about the impact of his character, which many says is stereotypical and inherently racist, after taking seminars and just talking to people on the ground, including kids he's met throughout the years. Hank described one interaction he had with an Indian teen who was apparently in tears as he told the longtime Simpson star that Apu had a devastating effect on him and his community at large, pleading with Hank to deliver the message to Hollywood writers.
That's really interesting.
Okay, I don't know how much it goes into depth, but how did this negatively impact him, I guess is my question. And then my other kind of observation about, I don't know how The Simpsons was made, but I will say like animated shows, typically they'll have a team and they'll have guys that do multiple voices.
Here's the thing.
Like a Family Guy, right? Like Seth MacFarlane does like 10 voices, and then like Seth Green does like 10 voices. Like they're doing other characters, they're doing dogs, they're doing other races. And it's like, yes, you could get an Indian guy. Simpsons has been on for 30 years now, 25, 30 years. Yes, you could get an Indian guy to do that voice, but then you're hiring way more people. Your staff goes way up, and you get what I'm saying?
Right. So your first question was you don't understand why.
No, I was wondering why, like, what was the negative impact? I don't know about Simpsons enough. Like, I don't know the show enough. I know the character that he played. I just don't know. I don't know the jokes that were made, if they were like hurtful jokes.
I think there obviously was like,
maybe like in a school setting or something.
Yeah, racial slurs. Nothing like super bad, like any like words that were used. But I think that to create the character, he definitely had to be a little stereotypically Indian. You know what I'm saying? Like probably making curry references, shit like that. But I can't say because you are Indian and my mother is technically Indian, Guyanese. It's a very slippery slope. Because it's like, does someone who is highlighting a character who makes fun of the smaller things that happen in the community? Like, here's an example. Like, black people being late. To me, that's funny because a lot of my black friends be late. We call it CP time.
Right.
But now, if someone creates a character and now the character is like always late on the show, do I feel offended?
Right.
It's weird because you're like, ooh, it's true, kind of, but like, I don't know. It feels weird when someone else who's not black does it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's where they're kind of feeling weird about it, is because he's white.
But did you guys ever watch Madagascar?
Yes.
Like Sacha Baron Cohen, he was the voice of
the lemur, right?
That's right. Yeah, and that technically is an Indian accent, like
totally.
Right.
Totally.
Oh, okay.
So are we?
So it's kind of this.
Well, I think there's a difference because I don't think it's the idea that he's doing the accent.
No. Yeah, but
it's the inflammatory shit that he's saying.
Right.
Yeah. Which.
I look at it like Family Guy is probably the most racially.
No. South Park.
Family Guy makes
the most racist
they
show.
make way more racial jokes than Family Guy. I swear to God.
Joking?
As far as individual jokes, because South Park takes it to another level.
About that black chef they got? Hell nah.
What? He was played by a black man.
No, I'm just saying. No, the racial jokes on that show are way worse than Family Guy.
Family Guy they'll make like 100 jokes in the episode, and they'll do like a cutaway, another cutaway. Like, you know what I'm saying? They do so many jokes. South Park will be like, here's one narrative that we're trying to push. You get what I'm saying? But whatever. We don't have to like talk about what show is the most racist. I'm just more or less saying that
South Park, cause
when Family Guy sets up those jokes, it'll be like, oh, Asians are bad at driving, and then they'll put some like ridiculous situation of this Asian character in a situation that would kind of never happen, but it's playing off of the stereotype of, oh, Asians are bad at driving or whatever the fuck.
Right.
So it's kind of it's kind of funny in a situation because you're like, oh, okay, this is a ridiculous situation. Do you get what I'm saying? Versus like, I'm gonna play a character and create this stereotype in a negative light, and that's just my character. I don't know Simpsons enough to know the jokes,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know.
Interesting article, though.
It's a slippery slope because it's like,
Yeah.
you know, there's some things you see on TV that are funny as hell, and you're like,
Because there
oh
could
my
be kids out there in school like suffering from
100%.
bullying and stuff
100%.
as a direct result of this. It's like,
and you know what? And one thing that we don't really talk about enough is like sometimes like my mom when she'd make goat curry or chicken curry, like sorry, I would smell like that shit because
Right.
it's the fragrance is of it illuminates the whole entire house.
Everything.
It's in your clothes. It's in your clothes.
yeah,
So for me, it's like going to school and like, you know, once in a while smelling like that.
yeah.
Kids were asking me who were like, and I hate to say it, but it was black kids and it was white kids. But, you know, black people, we do be roasting the shit out of you. But white kids do it in a different way.
They were like, why do you smell like that?
Right. But then the white kids will go tell all their friends and then make a joke about you and they never tell you and then be like
Yeah.
laughing when you walk in the classroom. A black kid would be like, you smell like that shit. You know what I'm saying? I feel like when you get bullied by black people, it's open and it's like direct.
It's an interesting paradox because it's like these shows are trying to be like culturally appropriate and inclusive, but at the same time it's breeding a whole other set of problems,
Totally.
But
which is really interesting.
don't you think there's a major benefit from comedy and bringing people together and also bringing light to uncomfortable topics? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As far as making it like, I don't know, she brought up South Park, but South Park had like a vaccination special and they're all wearing masks on their chin and they call them chin diapers. And it's like, that might be an uncomfortable topic if you just talk to somebody in the street about that. Like, why aren't you wearing a mask? Or you should be wearing a mask or this, whatever. At least it was. And then somebody, you know, after a certain while, somebody can make a joke about it. And then people can be like, oh, yeah, that was kind of ridiculous that we were so uptight about that 6 months ago, right? Ha, ha, ha.
You know what I think? I think a show would be totally fine if they make fun of everybody.
Everyone, right?
If you do everybody,
Then it's fair game.
it's fair game.
Yeah.
But that's what they kind of do in Family Guy, for example. But something recently came out where Family Guy said they're not going to make gay jokes anymore.
That's whack. I mean, listen, all jokes are fucking funny. Black jokes are funny. Gay jokes are funny. The ones that are hurtful are like the ones that you get deep down into, like saying
It's like
the N-word.
malicious.
Yeah,
Or
exactly. It's like you know when it crosses
where there's
the line.
intent. Yeah, for sure.
You know. And it's like y'all can read the room. It's like making a joke about Rodney King obviously is not fucking funny.
Right.
But making a joke about how, you know, black people maybe sag or something may be funny with the right setting, with the right writing, it could be funny.
It could be funny.
You know what I'm saying? You just got to read the room. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
I almost look at it like the way that these jokes evolve over time should be about somebody makes a joke. If it lands, it lands. If it doesn't land, then it's like, all right, these jokes need to evolve. It's Simpsons been on for so long.
Yeah.
It makes sense
Yeah.
that now we would look at it and be like, this isn't funny anymore.
Yeah.
Like to
Yeah.
do just a stereotypical Indian accent. I think he was working at I don't know, a gas station or like a what were those, like shopping marts that you would see like like a 7-Eleven
Yeah,
type
like a-
shop.
yeah.
And it's like, okay,
That's
yeah,
stereotypical.
yes, this might have been the stereotypical Indian that most people would see in an urban area 30 years ago, but it's
Yeah.
not really anymore. So it's not really that funny
It's
anymore.
not relevant.
So it's like the consequence of it should be you made a joke and it's not funny anymore.
Right.
So change the joke
Mhm.
or update your jokes.
Update your jokes.
You know what I mean? Instead of it being, how dare you? You should never work ever again in your life, you know?
I actually met a writer's assistant from The Simpsons.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's kind of interesting we're talking about it.
Tell them what you think. Yeah, I don't know. It just, who knows, man? I feel like, you know, people, if you ever see the Boondocks, like,
Right. Yeah. They say some crazy shit in there,
you know
but
what,
it's
that's-
funny. It's
but
so funny.
it's totally funny, and it's also the voice of black people, and I think a lot of the writers are black, so it's like, it's funny as fuck.
Right.
It is so racist, though. It is so racist. Uncle Ruckus is the most racist person on TV. Like, it is insane. But, you know, also you can laugh at it because it's like, it feels like black stories and being told by black people. So it feels, you know, like it's totally fine. Or like,
Yeah. And this is my issue about this thing that you brought up is I don't want to be insensitive about this teenage kid that was crying so much about this
Totally.
character. But part of me is like, suck it up, man. Just change the channel. There's so many different options
Well,
of
I
content
think he
that
was
you got to
saying, though-
vote with your dollar. You know what I
He was
mean?
saying though, like the idea of the character and like seeing it on TV kind of affected him in his home life.
Right.
Because everyone knew about The Simpsons and was like probably calling him Apu.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I think that's
It's like
what he
more
was
in
saying.
social setting, like
This
I said,
wasn't-
at school
okay.
or like
Yeah.
whatever.
This wasn't a teenager. He was saying in his teen years. Is that what it was? That makes more sense to me.
Let me reread.
You get what I'm saying? I'm like a teenager now.
That's how I understood it anyway.
No, it said Hank described one interaction he had with an Indian teen
Mm-hmm.
who apparently
just
was in
like-
tears as he told the longtime.
Like
Simpsons star.
I understand. Like you pull something up and you're like, this is whack. This is a bad joke, and then you change the channel and you're like, I'm not gonna watch that show ever
No,
again.
I don't think he's saying that. I
No.
think he's saying because the kids at school were calling him a poo or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it. I get
Everyone
it.
had seen him
Yeah.
and like
Yeah,
made
I
note
get it.
of
If you're like, if you're in school and you're like the only Indian kid or one of the only ones, and like they don't even know your real name,
Right.
they're just
Totally.
calling you a
And-
poo.
And let's talk about this. How much representation is there of Indian people in TV and in movies? You don't see any other than Priyanka Chopra. I mean, if
Right.
you watch Bollywood and like Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham and all that, if you're on that side of things, then you know them. You know what I mean? But if you're not on that side, you don't ever see representation. So finally, when you do, you see some stereotypical ass shit, and you're like, damn,
It's really sparse,
it really is. It really is.
especially natives for like Indians born in America, Indians born in London. Like,
Yeah.
is very far and few between.
Like, can you guys name one Indian star or actor right now?
Oh crap! I have the guy in my head, but I can't remember his name. I don't even think he's Indian actually. now
the
that I
guy
think.
from Big Bang Theory. What's his name?
I mean, Aziz Ansari, but like,
Yeah.
I don't think he's Indian though. I think he's
He's not?
Pakistan from
Oh.
Pakistan. I don't think
he's
in-
not.
I don't-
He's Indian.
I swear,
Indian, I'm sure he
I
is.
think he's like half Pakistan
100%
or
he's
something.
Indian.
Okay,
thought he was
look that shit up.
Yeah.
Look that shit up right now. Cause I always get confused about that too. I'm like,
Right.
sometimes I think somebody's Indian, and they're like, no, I'm not.
Or what's her name? The most beautiful woman.
Lily Singh. I think she's Indian. Raja Kumar, yeah, she's definitely Indian.
Shit.
I like how you look it up. It's like, what's what's Aziz Ansari's nationality? It's like
The amount of
it's
things that
like
must get-
American.
The
She's
amount
like,
of
well,
things that
thanks.
must get Googled.
Oh my god, it's so fucking funny. Fatima and Shutkath Ansari.
Aziz is a Pakistani name,
Yeah, I think he's like half Pakistani or whatever.
in fairness.
Fatima and Shutkath Ansari are both of Indian descent.
Interesting. But some of the largest population in India is from Pakistan.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So
maybe that's
they
what it
can
was.
have
Okay,
like
that makes sense.
could be like half Pakistani, half
That
Indian.
makes sense. What's the girl that I'm thinking of that's always in the Bollywood films with the light eyes?
I'm so bad at names.
You know who I'm talking about?
Come on, you know every
She
Bollywood
was
movie,
the
right?
most-
Like,
she was named the most.
I barely watch it.
Hold
Like a
on.
fake Indian.
I'm gonna look up Bollywood star. You know her, actress. She's like voted the most. Was it Priya? No, it's not Priya. Here she is, right here.
Katrina.
Nope. This is her picture.
pull her up.
Oh,
Pull her up
um,
on there so we can
Actually, it
see.
doesn't say her name though, but you know her.
Yeah, I know who
It's
she
up.
is.
You can see the
Wow.
She's pretty.
Isn't she so pretty? What's her name? Gosh, it's gonna kill me now. My mom's gonna kill me for not knowing this. Not Priyanka. Gosh, I can't move on until I find this guy. Sorry.
What are those? Do you know those old movies? They're like Bollywood or something, and the
Aishwarya Rai.
Aishwarya Rai.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. My mom loves her.
Yeah.
So yes, but we go to say all this to say there's not enough representation.
Mm-mm.
So while you finish your idea, you just had a thought. I'm gonna go grab the TikTok stuff.
okay, you go grab it.
Okay. What were you gonna say?
I don't even know if I can. I don't know. Remember this enough to explain it, but there's like this. There was this Black Eyed Peas video they came out with recently, and they did a deep fake. So they superimposed their faces onto this older Bollywood movie, but it was like a Indian action movie where this guy just like grows guns out of his body, and I think it's some like classic.
Was it Bollywood?
It might. I don't know if Bollywood's the right term because I don't think it was like singing and dancing, but it was
okay,
like
fine.
an action movie where they're like, it's almost like an Indian crouching tiger, hidden dragon, but like guns are growing out of his arm, and I don't know. It was like crazy. but
That's
they
some
used it
crazy
for their music
concepts.
video, just deep faked with their faces.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was like, what the hell is going on with these? Why haven't I
That's so
seen this
interesting.
movie before?
What do you remember? What it was called?
I just remember the music video. I don't know where they took that footage from, but I know it was from like an old movie.
That's so funny.
But the deep fake stuff is getting crazy.
Mm-hmm. Have you heard this stuff about NFTs?
Oh yeah,
It's crazy.
we're
You
working
guys
on
should do
it.
some.
We're working on an NFT. We'll have one
Really?
coming out in May.
Like, what's the concept?
So we're collaborating with the artist, and they're like 20 to 30-second audio clips
Okay.
and the visual loops. So we're kind of making it around our album, so it's all, yeah.
Okay. Have you seen these? There's some NFTs out there which are like you can claim a square, and then it will be worth like X amount of money.
Only part of it.
Yeah, or you can claim like 1 or 2 squares, and you can do whatever you want with it. But it's like there's limited squares in the whole thing.
So people don't even own the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. But like you guys could do that with album art or something like that.
And it's like a puzzle.
Yeah, and then you own a part of the puzzle,
Yeah.
and then it's worth something. It's like worth 5 cheat code bucks or something. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So,
She's going in.
She's going in. I'm so excited.
okay. So for a little insight, these are TikTok snacks that I have found online.
We love TikTok.
And we love TikTok. And so I'm just going to share these with you guys and see if you like them. I'm going to cleanse, so I can't eat all 2 of them, but there's one that I can. And this first one is called Nature's Cereal. Okay. Okay, so basically it is pomegranates, blackberries, raspberries, ice, and coconut water.
Sounds
Okay.
divine.
I think Jason Derulo's been eating this one every day.
How bummed are you that you're on a cleanse?
Oh my God, I love it so much.
How light do you feel?
I don't even want to talk about
How many times are you pooping a day?
it. 5.
This is
5
triggering.
times. She's pooping 5 times a day.
Okay.
Courtney's triggered.
I'm triggered, seriously.
Okay, so this is my new replacement for cereal.
So it's called Nature's Cereal.
Take a look.
Man. I mean, it kind of just looks like fruit and water. Is this right? Is this the recipe?
Yeah.
This could be some good ASMR.
It's actually pretty good. You know? Like, if you're going to eat this in the morning instead of cereal,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think?
Yeah.
It's like a fruit salad without the orange, like the passion fruit.
I think the surprising thing about it for me that I didn't expect,
What?
the fruit flavor actually gets into the water.
Yeah.
So when you drink the water, it's almost
tastes
like
like
you
berries.
are, yeah, you're eating cereal. You can sip the flavor from the water because not everybody's into this, but I'm a guy that eats the cereal and drinks all of the milk. I don't waste any of that. Yep.
Ick.
I knew Courtney
Me too.
hated that.
I fucking hate it.
No, you have to get all the milk.
I drink all of it. I don't let any of it go to waste.
If it's Cinnamon Toast Crunch, I will.
Mm-hmm.
Max!
That we're ASMRing this.
No, this shit is good.
It's good. It hits.
I'm definitely down to eat this and every morning.
100%. Y'all need to try this. As we're just smacking the whole bowl. You see it?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so weird because the water makes it better for some reason. I mean, I eat fruit all the time.
It's coconut water, though.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's
I
coconut.
forgot about I thought it was just normal
I
water.
wonder if it'll work with like pineapple and like citrusy fruits. It'll be like a different. This is a very berry taste.
Oh, you thought it was just regular water?
I thought it was regular water and the
Oh.
fruit was just seeping into the water.
That's why I was like, yeah, I guess.
But I'm not the biggest fan of coconut water, and I think the fruit
Yeah.
kind of mixes in well.
You
to
don't
where
really taste the coconut.
Yeah, the coconut's not overpowering.
Okay, you ready for the next one?
You heard it here first.
Okay. This one is one I found. I don't know how you guys are gonna feel about this, but I think you should eat 3 at a time, only so you can get the full effect. This is honey and Takis. Okay.
Ooh.
So I'll let you grab yours, Matt, and you go ahead and try, babe. And then I'll give 3 to him.
Okay. Well,
So
I
take
love
3 at a time, babe.
3 at a time.
Yep, and then so you can get the full, because once you have one of something, you gotta.
Sorry. Trying to grip them. The honey's actually like really sticky in here. Okay, here we go.
Okay, Akash. And then don't tell us until Akash tries it, so we can get them all at the same time.
Is that honey at the bottom?
Yes, honey.
So good.
You was getting on my damn
We-
motherfucking nerves.
We have to sell this as ASMR.
Okay. Let's see.
This is a good ASMR one.
Mhm.
Because the
Okay.
chili lime from the Taki, it really gets your mouth watering, and the honey's sticky.
Okay, so tell me, what are we saying here?
It's a good like sweet and savory
So good.
mix.
Is it good?
Yeah, it is good.
Like,
It's definitely a good like high snack.
I feel so bad you're on a cleanse right now.
I know. Damn it.
It's so good.
It makes the Takis better, because the
Okay.
the Takis are kind of overpowering a lot.
1 out of 10.
8.
8. A
Okay.
solid 8.
Okay. What about the cereal?
I'd say a good 8. I'd have
I'd
that
say
for
a 9.
breakfast.
You'd have that for a snack though, if you were
Or
high?
breakfast, yeah.
Okay.
I'd eat that for breakfast every morning. I don't care.
Okay, cool. Okay, so the next one is kind of the same premise. I know it's kind of weird, you guys, but this one is a pickle and honey.
Okay. This one seems a little weird, but here we go.
Not y'all stomach's about to be fucked up after this. Bae.
For the people with fetishes at home.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel?
It was good. I mean, I think the pickle's like so watery that the honey doesn't really stick.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
The
kind
honey's
of,
like,
it's more subtle in that one.
if you look at the consistency.
Okay,
The honey's all in that jar right there.
got it. But was it a little sweet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I liked the flavor. But
I prefer the turkeys.
yeah, I don't know if it would be worth it for me to do
Okay.
that one.
Okay, now this one is gonna blow your mind because I saw this one on TikTok and this guy said he loved it. So I don't know, Okay, it's kind of crazy, but it's a ho-ho or some like Swiss rolls with mustard. Okay, and you have to take a big bite because they said that you're supposed to eat the whole thing at once, but obviously you don't have to. But just so that you can get the full effect. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So here you go. Well, let me show the camera just so like a good thumbnail. Right. Well, no big deal. No big deal. You take that one. Sorry.
Let's hope the table doesn't have COVID.
I don't even got mustard on mine.
Yeah, it's on the inside.
Oh, there's mustard inside?
Yeah, I put mustard on
You're
the
kidding.
Inside. I put mustard on the inside.
This is like a mustard-filled donut. Okay, here I go.
A monut.
I don't know about this one, dude.
I don't know.
I think this guy, he's pranking us. This one,
No.
this one tastes weird. It ruins it for me.
It does.
I'm not a
Okay.
fan.
Because I actually enjoy these Swiss rolls a little bit, and I ate the whole thing.
I want a refund.
And Kosh just took a bite.
I'm gonna grab.
I'm sitting here like having to force it down my throat because it's already in my mouth.
Hilarious.
I want my money back.
Yeah, that one's bad because maybe we didn't pick the right roll,
Yeah, maybe.
Because this one has like an aftertaste. Like it's taking a long
I'm
time.
going back to the fruit bowl.
Taking a long time to get out of my palate.
You're saying what?
I'm saying I'm trying to get it out of cleanse my palate right now, but it's hard. It's hard out here. It's lingering, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Is it because of the mustard you think it's lingering?
Yeah, I ruined it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Definitely the mustard.
1 out of 10.
Yeah, that one's a 1.
It's -1.
Damn, it was that bad, huh?
Yeah.
And you never say food is bad, so that means it was really bad.
It's not a good mix.
Okay, cool. Well, you know, you win some and you lose some. You got the Takis and honey.
Yeah, that
fine.
one was good.
Do you want one of those to wipe the taste out of your palate?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. It's like, no, I'm fucking over it. Okay, cool.
So over it.
Oh my God. You're so funny. Okay, well, I'm glad you got to try it. Would you eat any of those again?
Yeah, I would eat Takis and honey.
Mm-hmm.
You would too?
There's one left.
I would eat the cereal.
You want that one last one?
Yeah, sure. Toss it over here. I was like, wow, this is about to be a movie. He's about to slide it over perfect.
I kind of got a little taste of it. It tastes like it would be like a good mix.
Did you just cheat?
No, it's not cheating. Unless you consume it. You know what I mean? If it's a crunch, then you get a punch.
Wow.
Yeah. Is it good?
You can look, but you can't touch.
Yeah, you're right.
See, this one has a good aftertaste.
Yeah.
You're so offended
It's
by
so
that
good.
sweet roll and that honey
Oh.
mustard.
It was bad.
So offended.
They're just not meant to go together.
I think you would be too.
Yeah. Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, you would hate it.
Damn. You like sucking down that White Claw.
I'm trying to not feel this anymore.
Wow, babe. It was that bad, huh?
I just want to be numb.
Where those edibles at?
Deadass.
I just want to be out of my mind right now. I just want to be zonked.
You're so funny.
Get me out of here.
Okay, well, I feel like this whole podcast is becoming very daunting because we have yet another police brutality case. Okay, well,
Wow, this is so fun.
I know, I'm sorry. But these are things that we have to talk about, and we have it's a good dynamic between us three, you know, an Indian male, black woman, white male. Like it's a good dynamic. So it's important, you know, for people to see us discuss these kind of things.
Right. And another reason we need to talk about this because you're from Minneapolis and you were telling me that you either know this guy or you have a friend that knows this guy.
Two of my really close friends. You probably see them on my story, and they were just in. Well, actually, Glenn was just in. Where were we at, baby? Chicago.
Yeah, we're in Chicago.
We were in Chicago, and he's one of my close friends, and he came for his birthday and celebrated with us and the boys, and he knows Duante Wright. So, you know, that's really close to home and kind of scary.
He was young, right? I mean,
He was young. He was 20 years old. Yeah.
Maybe just give it a little context of what happened, and we dive in.
Okay. Yes. Full context from what I know. Duante Wright was driving. He went to get a car wash. I don't think the car was registered to him. He gets pulled over. They say it's because he had an air freshener hanging from the mirror in the middle. What is that called? Your rear view mirror?
The rear view mirror.
And I guess in Minnesota, it is illegal to have something hanging from that, which I have encountered that before. My dad used to always make me and my brother take that off of our cars. So
What's the point of that law?
I think it's a distraction.
It's a distraction.
I think it's a distraction. Yeah.
So your car just has to smell like shit.
No, I think you're supposed to put it on the vent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, so anyways, so they basically pulled him over because of that. Also, I just read a report today that says he had a expired driver's license.
No, it
or
was
sorry,
the tags.
driver's tag. Yeah, he was right. Sorry.
The license
So the
tags.
car he was
but you know what?
driving.
It actually said the license plate was expired, which means the tags.
The tags.
The tags.
So
right.
if they theoretically, if they were driving behind him, they could look at the plate, either run the plate or just visibly see,
no,
his
you can
tags are
visibly see
expired.
because tags change color by year.
Yeah.
So would you say, I mean, just based off that information, this whole air freshener thing is probably just, I don't know.
There's a chance it could
media
have been,
hype.
Yeah, media hype.
Yeah, 100%.
potentially.
Because you know what?
Because you're gonna see the license plate before you see the air freshener.
Either way,
100%.
both things, driving without tags or the air freshener, are in Minneapolis seen as an offense. So either way, they had
reasonable.
So
suspicion to put
what
it on.
I just know a little bit about this, but
I
I
want
would,
to finish the story.
Yeah, you can go.
So people can know what happened. Okay. And so he got pulled over, and he's pulled over, and I'm sure upon running his license, it shows that he has an outstanding warrant. And I want to be very clear on this because I did the research, and I feel like there is a video trending around on TikTok saying that he had a warrant out for returned mail, which is false information. I want to make that very clear. I actually took 2 hours today, and I went to the Minnesota Judicial Branch, and I went through the public records. And so the public records state that last year, around January, December, he was arrested for aggravated robbery. Okay. He was arrested, apprehended, and he posted bail through a company. So a bail bondsman posted $40,000 for his bail. He gets out, okay, signs a paper saying that he will appear at this court date, okay. He has the paper saying the court date will be sometime January 2021. Signs it, you can see his signature, done, cool. Then another file comes out, says he was in possession, he basically broke his parole. He was in possession of a firearm, and he failed to contact his probation officer. So that is why they issued a warrant, okay? So
maybe you know this, Akash, but what is the difference between like aggravated robbery? Like
it's with a gun.
It's with a gun.
I thought that was like armed. I thought that was like a separate thing, like armed robbery.
No, that would be with an offensive weapon. So
aggravated has to mean it means with a gun no matter what, or could it mean other things?
No, it is. I'm pretty sure it's just it's at the.
I always thought that was armed robbery for some reason.
No, armed robbery is not an offense. Like the
not
technical term
separated.
the technical term will be aggravated.
Okay.
So then he fails to stay in contact with the probation officer and is caught with possession of a firearm again. So they issue a warrant, right? The warrant goes out, okay, but then the warrant goes out to the wrong address. So it gets returned to the courthouse 3 times. And all of this is listed. Like, I went through all of it. And it's listed that it got returned 3 times. So now here we are. What's the month? April?
Yeah.
April of this year. His court date was supposed to be around January of this year. He didn't show up to court. And so that is why they found the warrant when they pulled up his name. So, I mean, to miss your court date and to violate your parole, issues a warrant, kind of a big deal to them. So they pull him over and they find that out. And on the video footage that I've seen, he tries to run. So he goes back into the car, sits down, and I guess he's trying to take off because he knows he has a warrant. There's one officer that's kind of holding him down and trying to get him out of the car, while there's a woman officer who pulls her gun and screams, "Taser, taser, taser, taser," and she shoots him and he drives off. So that's what happened. So we can go from there.
Cool. Wait, I thought I had a question. I'm trying to think in my mind. Yeah, I mean, I watched the video. There was like the video clip, and I think there was a separate audio clip where the cops are on the radio with each other, and from the radio, the audio, they were saying that he stole this car. So I don't know if that was true or that was something that they thought just because it wasn't registered under his name.
I don't think he stole the car. I don't know how true that is. Yeah.
But I'm saying that's what they said on the radio. They're like, this isn't his car. But he definitely, this isn't his car. But they were like actually saying he stole the car, and it's like
for somebody to be driving somebody else's car does not automatically mean he stole that shit.
No, I know.
drive my cousin's car all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so that's probably just an assumption that they were making prior to having done it.
Prior
to having done checks, yeah.
And that's where it starts. It's like, damn, those assumptions.
I mean, things from there just escalate, I think.
100%. And so the biggest thing for me, which is what everyone's saying on social media right now, and this is what I've learned, and so when you are a cop, your most dominant hand, like, so say, because I'm right-handed, your most dominant hand is where your gun sits. So on your right-hand side.
If you're right-handed.
And you're right, if you're right-handed. And your less dominant hand is with the opposite side, which is where your taser sits. And in Minnesota, the tasers are yellow. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it's not like that everywhere. They're not like that everywhere. Some are blue, some are white, some are black.
Some are green.
Yep, some are green. But in Minnesota,
either yellow or green.
In Minnesota specifically, they are yellow, which is a very high, bright yellow.
Yeah, it's like you pull it out, take a second to look.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, let's talk about this. You know you pulled from the right side, which is your dominant hand. You've been in the police force for 25 years as a woman. 25 years been in the police force. You know your right hand has the gun, right? Okay, so you know there. Second, the weight distribution. A taser is way lighter than a 9mm. Mm-hmm. So you know that. Okay, and then third thing, your peripherals, when you're pointing something, you're looking at the suspect, but you're also looking at your hand. Mm-hmm. You're not pointing down here.
Yeah, typically when you're aiming, aren't you like kind of looking down?
Exactly. And in the body cam footage, you can see the fucking gun. It's like, if I can see the gun, then you can see the gun. Mm-hmm. So for her to say taser 3 times and squeezing the trigger, she knows it's a fucking gun. Mm-hmm. But the only reason she has to stick with that story, because if she doesn't and she says it was an actual gun, that means she had intent to kill. And she's not going to say that.
No.
The other theory of the shooting as well was maybe she was wanting the other cops to taser him, and as he was driving away or whatever, then she pulled the trigger. Like she wasn't
because
saying.
you want to know
Trigger
how
was
that's not
pulled.
true because they are trained, and this I watched police chief say this. They are trained before they deploy their taser to say taser 3 times. Taser, taser, taser. Before not only to warn the victim or the suspect, but to also warn the cop to get out of the way because they are about to deploy the taser. So she wouldn't say that if she wasn't about to deploy it.
Correct. The other part of this is her experience levels within the police. Like she's 20 plus years in.
Yeah.
She's won like bravery awards for saving people from fires and stuff.
Wow.
And it just goes to show that like,
Wow, gosh, on the
if
research, like what the hell?
if they're going down the road of like of saying it was a mistake, and I had an honestly held belief that she was she meant to pull out her taser. It's like that story could fly for someone 6 months in, but not for someone of 20 years experience. It doesn't work like that.
Well, either way, she'll get involuntary manslaughter.
Correct, and
or
I think
whatever,
that's the point. She's already resigned.
She resigned.
And you know what? The DAs they said they'll have a charging decision by Wednesday, but it's like at this point, the DA is going to look at the evidence. They're going to look at the file, and then what? Like the thing about murder is that there has to be intent, and if you cannot prove intent, then the only reasonable other charge would then be manslaughter, which carries a far less like sentence than murder does, because there was no
and
intent
here's the
to
thing,
kill.
like for her to tase him in that moment, I think that's justified. You got pulled over for a warrant. You trying to dip out. You know you're wrong. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to justify that because we have to be honest about what happened here. He tried to dip, and you know he shouldn't have dipped. And I think that for her to pull out a taser would be justified to control the situation. I mean, he did get in the car and push on the gas, but for the gun, that's out.
Again, what I was saying at the start of this conversation around that the framework, it's like were her actions proportionate? No, because you know the person's name, you know their last known address.
Totally.
If they were to drive away, it's actually probably safer because it won't end in a car chase. It's not going to end in someone getting hurt. Like, were her actions accountable? Like, I don't think they were, and were they necessary? It wasn't necessary to pull a gun.
Yeah.
What were you going to do? There was a passenger in the car. You could have either injured the passenger.
Oh, was there someone else in the car?
His girlfriend was in the car.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
She was the one that, like, the mum phoned him, and then there was a struggle.
Yeah, she's the one that called the cops, right?
Yeah.
Or she
Called her his mom.
Yeah, they called the mom and said,
so
he got shot.
Dante called the mum, and she was like, just comply with whatever they want. When the officer comes back to the window, give them the phone to me so I can tell them what our insurance details are. In the meanwhile, there was a struggle. He got pulled out. She was listening to all of this, and the line got cut. And then the next conversation she had was a FaceTime call from the girl saying he's dead, like he's unresponsive. And she said, that's the last time I saw him. So it's like that could have all been avoided. Just let him go. Worst case, you get in your car and you chase the suspect. But at this point, they know who they're dealing with. So it's like, how far is he really going to go? You know, it's like.
Let's hold him a little bit accountable. And I hate to speak that way of the dead, but I don't think that he should have ran. I don't think that he should have done that, because I feel like there should be some type of compliance class that we teach our kids. Like I keep saying, it's like, okay, you have this warrant, but you're not going to go to jail forever. Like it'll be okay. We can help you out. You know, you have a bail bondsman. Like there are possibilities for you, you know, to live a life, you know? And when you do make those type of decisions and you want to run, that puts you in danger. Also your girlfriend in danger. It's like, you know, that's how people get shot. They don't give a fuck. They will shoot you. And I feel like you need to know that. And I just feel like kids need to share that message, because, like, you got to be careful. And I hate that it has to be like that, but it's true.
The fact that that's a lesson that
isn't it disgusting?
that you have to teach.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. But it's like that, or you know, like, to stay alive, there's certain things that you have to do. Like, you know, put your hands outside the window. Like, shit is scary, but like. So
what's the deal? Like, these guns don't have safeties? It was a type of gun, or like what the hell?
They have safety. They'll have a safety catch on 2 safety catches. They'll have a safety catch on releasing from the holster.
Because wouldn't you think that if you think you're firing a taser, but it was actually a gun, and you were in the heat of the moment, if the gun is like by default on, the safety, then you would try it. You'd be like, you think, oh, I'm about to shoot my taser. You
Not
pull the
only
trigger
that-
and you're like, oh, it didn't go off. Oh, it was my gun. Good thing I had the safety on. Don't you think that would have?
Because your safety's always on, right?
It's always on.
It's
But
supposed to be.
not only that, like two things to note. Like with the gun, it was a fatal shot, which means he got shot in the chest.
Ugh.
He didn't live because it was a fatal shot, and that means, like with a taser, you've got two options. You can basically red dot someone before you fire the taser, and that is normally enough to subdue someone. Just seeing a red dot on your chest is enough to be like, okay, fine, whatever, I'll give up, and then you can deploy the taser. With a gun, as you said, you'll be looking at your hand, but you also be looking at the suspect because you're going to be looking through
Yeah, exactly, to aim.
to aim. And if it was a dead-on shot to the chest, which they are taught to shoot at, then they're taught to, with firearms, they're not taught to kill. They're taught to shoot at the fleshiest part of the body. And unfortunately, the fleshiest parts of our bodies generally do tend to hold vital organs. So there's an overwhelming chance that a side effect of that could be death.
Right.
So it's like there's several things. There's like how it's impossible to me that she
So
could
it's
have
like
known the difference.
it's like the only I
20
don't know,
years in, like
maybe the only other explanation is she was gonna taser him. She felt like he was about to run away or drive off, and then she shot him. That's the only, you know, because like we said,
why
I
do you
didn't.
need to shoot somebody before they drive off? It's like that's not the purpose. He didn't just kill somebody. He's a warrant out for his arrest. Like he's a kid. You obviously pulled up and you saw his birth year.
he also didn't present any weapons or any
Exactly.
show of force. And that's the first thing I was saying at the start of this conversation. You meet force with force. Like in the UK, for example, like if someone comes at you with their fist, yeah, you could probably get your pepper spray out, or you can get a baton out because you're then exceeding that force. If someone comes at you with your knife, you can get a taser or a firearm, but because you're the threat you're being presented with, it depends. Like, you know, that is a knife lethal? Yeah. Is a fist lethal? It can be, but it's far less lethal than a knife. So you meet force with the equal or a higher amount of force. And in all of these situations, very rarely, like it's extremely rare. I always get surprised when I see an officer out with a baton or a taser, because it just doesn't happen. They always reach for their gun.
Yeah.
In every single situation, they always reach for their gun. And if it's not, even when they pull someone over, they're walking up to a car, but with one hand,
hip.
that's a show of force. It's like it or not, it's and it has to be justified. But there's nothing here holding anyone accountable.
It's like, what does the training look like? I need to see the training program on cops because I just feel like it is inadequate. It's like, do you motherfuckers know how to de-escalate a situation? Because it's like they almost need to go through like a certain level of therapy. It's like, do you guys know how to communicate with people of certain color? Do you know how to communicate with certain ethnicities? Do you know how to, you know, like how to de-escalate a situation when someone's high? Or, you know what I'm saying? It's like all of these things seem like they would be pretty good ideas. Like,
Well, if there's one cut and dry from this situation that shows that there wasn't enough training with this.
there's never enough training though.
these,
This is the same shit that keeps happening. It's like, what's up? Okay, but they weren't trained enough. It's like, well, yeah, well, like he put his knee on his neck, but like he wasn't trained enough. It's like, no, it's more than that. Yes, they aren't adequately trained, but at the same time, it's like, what point does morality come into play?
right.
It's like, Jesus Christ, you're gonna pull your fucking gun out on a 20-year-old who has his girlfriend in the car and shoot him in the chest? Like, come on, like what? He does not have any gun or trying to like fight you guys or like trying to like attack you. It's like, what's happening here?
Like, I don't know what the figures look like, but in 2018, 2019, over that 1 year period in the UK, there were 3 fatal shootings in the police.
Wow.
3 in the whole country.
Wow.
Because the vast majority of firearms incidents end in subduing a suspect by that person's voice,
Yeah.
by the police officer's voice alone. Whereas here, I mean, I don't even think the figure of 3 exists in any state. I feel like
Yeah.
we're way past 3 in most states in the US,
Dude.
if not all.
Well, there's like shootings every weekend in Chicago or some of these cities. But maybe I kind of want to touch on like bigger picture with Minnesota or Minneapolis, because that's where you're from, and I'm just curious what you think, Court, as far as, you know, this situation obviously happened, and it's kind of a tinderbox right now in Minneapolis with the George Floyd trial going on right now. Before that, you know, they did defund the police. I think they voted for like defunding it like 50% or something, or maybe even more. And, you know, correlation doesn't mean causation, but since that happened, crime has skyrocketed. There's been way more crime since that happened. So it's like, theoretically, what should be done? Like, what can be done?
I think that defunding the police, the money that they use towards the police officers needs to be delegated towards people of different backgrounds and jobs to come to a situation. I think that they need to have other people, like, okay, for example, if there's somebody who is at the house arguing with their parent and they're autistic and they're freaking out, I don't think you need to ask a cop to come. I think you can ask a cop to escort a therapist or escort somebody who can de-escalate the situation. Cops don't have enough patience and enough, communication skills, I don't think, to de-escalate those type of situations. You can't just grab an autistic.
They also just don't have the it's like asking an accountant to perform surgery.
Exactly.
You don't have the qualification.
No, you don't have the qualifications to deal with certain people. And it's just like, you get these cops who are living in a place like Chaska where it's predominantly white, and then you're having them over police neighborhoods that are predominantly black. They have no experience with the culture. They have no experience of how to deal with people. They're not in the communities. It's like you can't expect people to know how to deal with people if they're never around them.
I agree.
And it's just like they're so far removed. So for me, it's like better training and revisiting what the training program looks like. They need fucking therapy. Like, the fact that dude said to that dude, "You should be scared," it to me screams he has an issue with power. And so anybody in that position needs to be psychologically examined. Like, that should be the first thing.
So I guess back to the original question though, is if you're defunding the police, how do you also simultaneously add more training? Do you get what I'm saying?
On top of the training, that's one point. But on top of the training, even if you didn't defund the police,
this example has to be the clearest of this was just awful training, because there's one way to know intellectually what you should.
Think this is about training?
Honestly? I do, because I think if it's intellectually, what you're supposed to do, but then when you're in that moment, it's a flight or fight response, and if it's a muscle memory thing. If you don't have the muscle memory of taser, and it's just like, oh, in my head, at this point, I'm supposed to taser.
But she did have the muscle memory of that. So how do you
she didn't. That's what I'm saying. In that reaction,
5 years doesn't count as having training.
But listen to what you just said.
You could be a cop for 25 years. It doesn't mean that you're encountering those situations every day.
Does it not just show though, like in terms of muscle memory, like
right? Her muscle memory is going to go to protect herself or whatever she thinks.
No, but it's her muscle memory is turning to the most lethal force out of her entire belt. Yeah, because she's got other options, but she's automatically turns to the most lethal use of force. And it's like, who is teaching you that?
Who is teaching you that? And
like,
why is that the first thing you chose to?
And the next thing that underwrites all of this is that I don't think anything even exists in federal law, let alone state law, which brings into account human rights. And that's really the fundamental of all of this. It's like, at the end of the day, like, people of color have always been second to anyone else, and it's like, if human rights is equality across whatever you are, right? Because you're a human, everyone should have the same rights. And if there's nothing in law that holds an individual accountable to a certain standard, like it is in Europe, like the UK, every country in Europe is accountable to the European Courts of Human Rights. So if something gets escalated that far, it can go right up to the top to the ECHR, and they will come back to that same founding principle of proportionate, legal, counter necessary. And it's like, if you weren't any one of those things, then it was against you. You've infringed on that person's human rights. Yeah. So ultimately, there needs to be something in law where these police officers are going out on the street, almost scared of, not scared, but it's there always. Everything I ever used to do, those founding principles were right at the front of my mind. But there were certain things I didn't do because I was like, I don't think this is potentially infringing on this person's rights. And if that's the case, this arrest is not legal, and therefore I can get in trouble. So also, and
that's also goes to say, well, like, when you don't have experience with something, you pull from whatever you know, and that's
Correct.
From the fucking media. Yep. When you don't have experience with a 20-year-old black man and his lingo, you pull from the media, and now you're automatically scared and you think he's a threat. For me, seeing that little boy, I could whoop his ass. You know what I mean? Like, those little skinny 20-year-old boys, I could probably beat them up.
So, like, for me, it's not a threat, but because I know them. They look like my cousins. They look like my friends. They look like everybody I know. And I'm not saying there is a chance that you can meet someone and they could be totally different. Obviously, that's true. But when you know people and you know how to interact with different cultures, there's less of a chance for you to be so violent and so aggressive because you're not as scared. And that's the issue. Is like these cops are coming in and they don't have a personal experience with black people. And they just like freak out. It's just like, Jesus Christ, why are you pulling a gun on a 20-year-old?
But it's like, how have we had this many cases since the entire country was rioting, and it's still got it just clearly shows nothing is changing.
Nothing.
Like we're talking about it, but nothing is changing. It's
literally.
It's so crazy.
Well, there has to be, like I said before, there has to be a policy change,
right?
And it is different.
So you think that if they are held responsible for their actions, that they'll stop doing this? Is that what you're saying?
I think so, because in terms of the law, I think what it will definitely guide how they'll be forced to think a lot more. Like
let's dive into what Akash was saying a little bit before, because essentially he's saying when he was a cop in the UK, I'm assuming the structure is different than the US.
Like for example, if for example I was looking to arrest someone, we had certain systems like the Police National Computer. Not everyone had access to it. And every time you accessed it or you asked a colleague to access it, they would write your number down. They would write a reason why you were performing that check, why that check was necessary. Because every time I'm searching someone's name, whether that name hits or it doesn't hit, you're infringing on that person's human rights because it's an invasion of privacy. Same thing with a gun. Every time you put your hand on your gun, you're invading that person's privacy because everyone has the right to live a peaceful life.
So do you need certain things to happen or a certain situation for you to put your hand on your gun? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, what would that situation be?
If I felt mine or my colleagues or the wider public's safety was a danger.
That's kind of a subjective thing though, isn't it?
Yeah, but as long as you can justify it, that's fine. As long as you have a justification for why you performed the action you did, that's fine. But you need to be able to justify it. Can she justify having her gun out in that situation? Probably not.
I don't think she'll be able to justify shooting him.
He didn't present a risk in terms of a firearm
right.
or another weapon. He just wanted to get out and run. Okay, running from the police is a crime, but again,
the other cop
you know
was
who
so
that person
close.
is.
It's like, damn girl, like you almost hit him.
You also, but coming back to the point, fine, he's a fight or flight risk. He flights, but to counter that argument, you know his name, therefore you know where he lives.
Right.
Therefore, why can he not be arrested at a later date?
So are you just saying, I'm trying to understand the fundamental difference, I guess, between police in the US and the UK and if there are. But are you saying in the UK they would have just let him drive away?
Yeah, because ultimately at that point, if that was me in that situation, there was too much that could have gone wrong in the sense that if I discharged a firearm, I mean, I wasn't armed, but if I was in that situation, if I discharged that firearm, it could have have hit the girlfriend.
Of course, yeah.
It could have gone straight through the window. There could have been a member of the public on the other side.
Right.
Could have hit that person. There's way too many things that could have gone wrong in the sense that we already know this person's plates. Therefore, even if you don't know him or his name, you've got the plate. Therefore, it's registered to someone, and there's cameras everywhere. It's not impossible to track down someone. What happened in the end of the day? I think he crashed into someone, and his car ended up in a ditch.
Yeah.
So let's just do a hypothetical out. So, say this is in the UK. He resists arrest and then he drives away. Then
a
what?
trained firearms officer in the UK would have probably shot at the car.
Shot at the car.
Yeah.
Okay, so let him drive away and then shoot at the car.
Correct. It's
okay.
i.e. deflate the tire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good perspective that I feel like I haven't heard.
Yeah.
In general, you know what I mean? So that's
it's like I don't understand, but for me, I can't get past the why are you shooting him?
Because for a firearms officer in the UK to discharge their firearm, they have to have an honestly held belief that the other person was carrying a firearm or an imitation, because there are very good imitations out there.
You know what they might say though, because he does have a warrant for aggravated aggravated robbery, and because the probation was broken with the aggravated firearm, he got caught with it again. That's why he broke his parole.
He's a risk to public safety.
Yeah, so that they had.
So there could be that.
They had something where maybe he had his firearm on him, but it turned out he didn't. But that's such a gray area.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
It's like, was there proof of? Did you see it?
So that's why I'm looking at it like,
was there any intelligence to believe that there was a firearm in the car on his person? Anything like that.
Unpopular thing to do, but put yourself in that woman's shoes of, we know that maybe this person, he did have a firearm. He was aggravated robbery. Maybe you're shitting your pants at that point. I have fucking no idea. I've never been a cop. You've been a cop.
But there's 2 of them, and he's 20.
I don't think the age really matters. I think if you're a grown man, it's like, how many times do we have to hear the other narrative of, oh, men are stronger than women, like men need to protect women and blah, blah, blah. And now you have a lady cop, and it shouldn't matter that he's 20. Like,
Yeah, but he was being
he's still
detained.
a fully
He was
grown
being
man.
Detained. Like the other cop was pulling on the dude. Like he was, he had him.
He had him.
He had him. Like
The
you could
fact
see.
that, like the fact that he managed to get out of that was pretty incredible to begin with. Because
Same, like, I think.
the first thing is that once you're detained, then the woman officer should have helped in handcuffing him and appropriately detaining him. But the fact he got out, I don't know. I just think that there was definitely at least 2 or 3 other ways that situation could have been dealt with.
Yeah.
That could have been different, in my opinion. But I just to automatically turn to your firearm. But it's if you look at that, she thought, even if we're going along with the story that she thought she was going for a taser, the fact that she had her firearm out, there's something psychologically very difficult for me to like digest about that, because
I'm hung up on the safety thing.
You're
It's
putting
like,
someone. Yeah,
if you're gonna put like let's just say we introduce some new policy that's very black and white. It's like, you have to put your fucking safety on your gun.
right, but
Like, how hard is that? Like,
Yeah.
that should be simple. And it's like, I don't know. I
me,
understand
though-
you need to be able to act quick if you need to, but
that's there. But for me, it's
this issue is she is saying that she was shooting a taser and she shot her gun. That wouldn't have happened if her safety
But
was on
don't
her
you
gun.
always keep your safety on? So she would have had to have taken the safety off.
correct. Yeah, because that
Maybe that happened. Maybe she came up but that's what I'm saying.
But
Then
if you took your safety off, you knew it was a gun and not a taser.
correct. So that would imply that her safety was off while she was walking up to the car.
Exactly.
right, and that's what I'm just, I'm a guy. I'm looking at it from, how could this maybe not have happened? How could this have been prevented?
Yeah.
In a simple way that maybe people can wrap their heads around. And I don't know,
I mean,
because
as much as I want to say it's because of, the training, and it's because of, if she would have just thought twice, it's got to be something else. It's like this story is happening too often for it to just be about training.
She must have
in
just
different
inhe-
cities,
yeah. It's the inherent fear that this person's black and that therefore
100%.
they've got a gun or whatever it is.
Exactly. And this is going to end badly for me, and I need to shoot them before they shoot me.
Correct. I think that's just honestly what it comes down to, because there's no reason for someone to meet someone with that much force when they've not given you any reason to.
Totally.
Because all that does is escalate a situation from 0 to 100 for no reason. And in the vast majority of cases, like, if I'm just looking at my own personal use of force, like in my 3-year career, my baton was drawn once. Considering my baton's my most offensive weapon, my baton was probably the only thing that could have killed someone with a force. If you put a baton to someone's head, that's metal that can kill you. It was drawn once and it was never used. I never deployed my pepper spray. It was really all just through my verbal commands and handcuffs, because you can't really do much without handcuffs. But yeah,
Right.
that's all I had on my kit, because I wasn't armed. And I didn't have a taser.
I'm as much as I want to compare it.
Even with tasers, even if you're going to say tasers, even with tasers, the vast majority of taser cases that are deployed, the vast majority, the taser physically is deployed and a red dot is issued, but the taser doesn't ever get discharged because the red dot is enough. There's many different ways.
That was
until
interesting.
You get to a gun,
That was an interesting thing that you brought up, because I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
That, I don't know. I'm curious if it's the same in the U.S., but that most tasers, before you deploy it, has the red dot, which that seems like
that
good.
taser is made by the same manufacturer. The UK user US supplies Axon. This the yellow tasers. It's the same manufacturer that makes the body worn cameras.
Right. So it's kind of like another piece of evidence of, you should have seen that laser or that red dot
100%.
and been before you pulled the trigger.
But it just goes to show that.
I mean, if he's driving off, I guess it's just like, it's either now or
Right.
never kind of thing. And
I mean, for me,
you know what I mean? As much as us, like, sitting here never really firing guns, or you've fired guns and tasers probably before, but us not.
Actually, I haven't.
You've never fired a gun.
Nope.
So okay, so this is interesting that you say that. So the UK, is it kind of just you have to have so much time in the force before you can have a gun? Is that kind of how it works?
Only you just have to complete your 2 years probation. Once you've completed 2 years, you can do anything. You become firearms.
Oh,
you can-
okay.
but anyone with over 2 years experience can hold a taser if you just apply for it. But then firearms is a whole other force.
I think that's another potentially smart thing to do. Not necessarily just doing everything the UK does, but of, okay, this person has the taser, like this person has the gun, and it's like, I don't know, maybe that's a stupid like innocent thing to say, but
I think a lot of this also is
having
driven
more of a
from-
game plan of like, this is
Yeah.
if this situation, this is what we'll do. In this situation,
It's
this is
just
what
the
we'll
use
do.
of tactics, because that's all it is. Like, you've got things on your belt. They're just tactical options. They're not. You must, because you have a gun. You must use your gun. They're just options. Like, your voice is an option. Handcuffs are an option. They're all options. They're tactical options. So it's different ways you can de-escalate a situation and can take control of the situation. But the fact that she drew her gun and thought she was tasering, like she thought it was a taser, that alone to me is terrifying, because you're giving someone control of a lethal weapon and they're thinking they're using a non-lethal weapon, but they were actually, like, there's something
scary.
going on in someone's head, like, for that. I mean, that is a lot. Like,
And for her to like the shit that got me was when after the body cam and like he pulls off,
she's like, oh shit.
I shot him.
And
I'm
then,
like, yeah, bitch, you heard the fucking gunshot. It wasn't like.
but right after that, the other officer's like, wow. And then the
Yeah, I don't
recording
think
ends.
any of them intended
But
for
her
that.
colleague was like, wow. And then the recording ends. So
'Cause
even
they probably
then,
knew, like, oh, you fucked up.
you fucked
Yeah,
up. Right?
100%.
But there were some other things on this story that I thought were interesting that I saw, but I guess this particular cop, they were asking the city manager or something along the lines of, is she going to be fired? Is she going to be let go? And he said something along the lines of, we're going to, she's going to have due process. She has a right to her due process. And then from that, he got fired. The city manager.
I don't know why, but I don't know the full story around that. But technically, if that's what actually went down, that sounds about right, because technically, if you've done something and you're placed on administrative leave, you're technically not allowed to resign.
But why? But Court, like, for example, do you think the city manager should have been fired for just saying, this cop is going to get due process? Because it's almost like.
I think it's just too early for him to be making any type of statement. You
But
should
that's kind of like his job though. He's the city manager. Like, that's.
I mean, I did see that what they were talking about. I mean, I don't know.
You can't just go up there and be like, I plead the fifth. Like, if somebody asks you that, you know what I'm
I
saying?
think that there's not enough information for him to be making any type of statement, and especially when things are as the city is crazy right now.
Right.
You got to be very careful what you're saying, especially because the trial is going on. You know, so I think that he should have taken some time and been a little more sensitive to what the people feel, and I think that's why he got fired.
So
The fact that the chief
saying due process, that's offensive. That's kind of where I'm like a little confused. Like, do we like, because okay, this is where I get conflicted, is when people, they say they want something for themselves, right? Like this guy getting pulled over, like, you want to be respected and treated a certain way. Like we all want due process. But then when it comes to somebody you don't like, you're like, fuck due process, burn them. And then for somebody to suggest it, it's like offensive. It's like,
I think it's just that it just happened to be the wrong time, wrong place. Insensitivity right now is at an all-time high. You just got to be careful. And I hate it had to be him, but it's like, I'm not saying, I would have fired him myself, but I can understand why he got fired.
so wasn't there also the
police
chief? He resigned though.
He resigned.
Why do you think, I mean, we don't have the information. I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but why do you think he resigned? Do you think part of it was he's just like, what's the point? Like, all this shit going on. Everybody hates cops here. Like, all this, it's just, the city's crazy right now.
I don't know if it's the same police chief as, I don't know if it's the same police chief as what, I don't know if he was in power when George Floyd happened, but
I don't think he was. I think
Okay.
it's like a newer one.
if it's a newer one, then I mean, I think it's the inevitable. Like, if you're in charge of a force and something like that happens, that to me, even if it's a thing of, oh, she made a mistake, it's like, that was a fatal mistake. Mistake or not, it was a fatal mistake. So therefore it's like, that's the ultimate accountability rests on his head.
I wonder if some of these guys too, they're just like, I'll just retire. Screw this. Like, what's the point? Like,
Or you could just not be weird and fucking racist.
well, I'm saying this is the police chief. He wasn't involved in this.
Yeah.
I'm saying the police chief resigned, so that wasn't like somebody fired him. He just made the decision, like, you know, I don't know his whole situation. I don't know if he's like 60 years old and he's like, screw this, I'm just gonna retire,
Right.
or whatever.
There could have also been pressure from the mayor's office because it's too contentious if he stays in power and she resigns, and you know, it's like this. It could have escalated situations with riots, whatever. But there is that whole thing to consider.
Yeah.
Like with if she made a mistake, well, it ultimately happened on his watch.
Right. So that's the other thing we should just touch on. You know,
Also, do you think that this is a very good question? Will the other officer be held responsible for her shit? Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's like
What the other officer that was on scene?
Yeah.
Undoubtedly not, because it was her decision to
Okay, cool.
it was her decision to
I would hate for him to go
discharge
down
that
like that.
firearm. I don't think so, because
Okay.
ultimately she was in charge of that firearm and
Got
it was her decision.
yeah, because I think even in the George Floyd trial, the
other
other guys got fired, but I don't think they got charged with anything, did they?
No, I don't think so.
Or maybe one. Yeah, I don't think so.
I'm very curious to see how this is gonna play out. Very curious.
Yeah, so this whole thing happens, and then pretty much immediately after, there's protests and riots in the street. And something that I was reading was they were looting some of the same exact businesses from a year
And you know
ago.
what?
The
I
George,
just-
George Floyd
Listen,
stuff.
I'm from Minneapolis, y'all.
Right. So that's
The
kind of
area that
my
they're
point
looting-
is
the area that they're looting predominantly black.
predominantly
predominantly
black,
black.
is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So
So it's like, damn, y'all can't go to Minnetonka or Chaska and fuck some white people shit up. I'm not saying that they should fuck the white people shit up. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying if you are feeling that way, why would you go to your own people's shit? Like, you fucking your own shit up. So I don't know. Someone explain that to me.
right, and it's one of those vicious circles of, you know, say you are a cop, this goes down, you know, in the audio they're like, oh my God, I shot him, and the other guy's like, oh shit, like whoa. And then immediately after, people are rioting. It's like, are you going to go up to these people and use more force than normal? No, you're not. You're going to be like, okay, like, take whatever you want. Like, I don't know. Like, what do you do?
They're deploying gas,
they were
tear
like-
gas and shit.
They put a curfew in at 7
p.m., yeah.
And then
I mean,
people
I
breaking
saw
out.
multiple videos where the entire stores were just emptied out, and there was nobody there. I mean, a lot of it could just be the personnel. Like, you don't have enough personnel. You're not going to go to like every store and like prevent it.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know if you saw this, Courtney, but there was people protesting, and there was a guy that kind of held a big cement block up, and then he got shot with a rubber bullet in his ear. I mean,
That's
Damn,
crazy.
in his ear.
yeah. I mean, it was a rubber bullet.
Yeah, but still though, right in your face.
It looked like he was about to throw this big cement block at the cop. That's why he got
I
shot.
feel like getting shot in your arm or your stomach would suffice, especially if it's a rubber bullet, because you would know it's a rubber bullet until after you realize that you weren't shot.
Again, it comes down to proportionate.
Exactly. It's like, damn, you shoot
Isn't
somebody in the
proportionate.
face with a fucking rubber bullet?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Like here, they were, last year they were like shooting rubber bullets at people to tell them to get back in their houses. It was like, these were like innocent people, like out on the street, past like a little bit past curfew, but they were shooting rubber bullets, like telling them to get back in their house.
It's like, are y'all all trying to run for office or something? What the hell is the power struggle in the
Yeah.
police system? What are y'all trying to do? I don't get it.
I think there's just not enough information around like police officers saying what exactly goes on within the force. Like, is there something within the training? Is there something within the culture? Because culture breeds culture. Like, unfortunately, that young officer, for example, even though his instincts and his human heart told him this is wrong, which you could see from his body language.
Totally see that.
After you're around people like the other officer for a certain amount of time, unfortunately, you are what you associate with.
You become numb to it.
You become numb to it, but then you also become like that because you think this is normal because this is how everyone here is acting.
Exactly.
So this is the way I should be. So
And-
unfortunately, it's like, the rotten apples ruin it for a lot.
And we're kind of talking about the first video in North Carolina, but it might be a dumb question, but if the guy already has his hands outside the window, can't you just go up to him and like handcuff him?
Right.
I know that the whole idea is you want him to put his hands behind his back first.
Right.
So maybe that just answered my question, but still.
But also, like,
There's nothing stopping you from handcuffing him and then changing the handcuffing position. Because once
But
you've got
also-
one on, you've got power of that person.
That's
You can,
true.
like, you can twist their wrist and it's
but
excruciating.
isn't there? Don't you have to inform somebody why they're being detained or what they've done before you can arrest them?
No, that's a myth.
That's
you
a myth.
can you can say, I mean, you can arrest someone, but you're
You're talking about the Miranda.
Them.
You're talking about Miranda rights.
Yeah, don't you?
No, that's not. You don't. They're not required to read you your rights. They're
See,
not.
That's so interesting.
Wow.
Like
That's kind of just something that we see in movies.
right.
Okay, well, they need to be because
Like in the UK, unless it's for a terrorism offense,
They usually read you your rights like if you're actually charged with something, you like with a crime. But a lot
Right.
of times, if they're just bringing you in, like for that whole thing, like they weren't really charging him for a crime. They were just telling him to get down on the ground, and then they're like, "Oh, well, you're not complying," but there wasn't an actual crime,
Yeah.
Because most of the time they read you your rights just because they need, if they're gonna like interrogate you or something, then that's kind of where they're letting you know, like, don't say anything incriminating unless
Right.
Like
in the UK, if you don't tell someone that,
Yeah.
they don't have to say anything.
They're not
but-
required to read you your rights, but I don't think they can technically like use a bunch of things that you're saying against you unless they tell you that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where the line.
Where the line is.
Yeah. Well, we're going to include some links, how to donate to the family and what you can do to help, and any Minnesota funds that you want to donate to help out people and businesses and all of that, probably in the information in this YouTube video. So look for that.
What is your Court? I'm really interested in how you look at this because you're from here. What is your overall view of Minneapolis? Like, do you think things are going to get better? Is it like pessimistic? Is it optimistic?
Okay.
How do you think things could get better? Just overall conclusion, and then we can just move on to another topic and never talk about this.
I think that people are pissed, and it's kind of it's almost feeling like black people are being made a mockery of, and it's like someone is on trial for killing a black man, and here we are again. In the middle of the fucking trial, someone just killed a 20-year-old black man. It's like, I don't know if things are going to get better. And based on the people that I've talked to in Minnesota and like my friends, they think that if Derek Chauvin is not convicted, that they think that Minneapolis is going to go fucking nuts. Like, I mean, like start a race war, like I'm not going to say what I've heard, but just know I've heard some pretty crazy shit about people organizing things and like going nuts. So I'm nervous. It's like, I'm scared. I'm scared for my city. I'm scared for my parents who live there. I'm like, yo, this might be a good time to get your family safe, maybe to get a firearm and just stay in the crib.
I did have that question too. What are the gun laws in Minnesota?
I don't know.
Okay, because I was, for some reason I thought that they're kind of strict. I could be wrong.
I mean, I do think you have to have a permit, but I don't think
Or
it's
Minneapolis.
easy to get a permit. Yeah, I don't think it's easy to get one. But
Because that's the other thing about just these situations that I get kind of conflicted about, because I'm from St. Louis and I've been in St. Louis a lot. I've been in Chicago a lot. I've been in a lot of these Midwest cities where Chicago, you can't have guns at all.
Right.
Like the whole city. So, and then you have these impoverished area.
They're completely banned?
Yeah, pretty much the whole city.
Wow.
The same with like New York, a lot of these like cities.
Yeah.
Which makes sense to a degree, but then you go into these impoverished area and there's a lot of crime, and then people don't trust the cops. There's police brutality, but then it's also illegal for you to protect yourself.
Right.
So to me, those things kind of conflict a little bit. Like when people say defund the police, that's okay with me, but then don't also take my guns away.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How does something have to give here? I don't know.
I don't know. I
Gun laws.
Man, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even want to get into that. I just
Because like you either have to protect yourself or the cops protect you, or you hire private security, which nobody can afford that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Nobody's affording private security.
I'm just sending good energy and positive vibes to the people of my city, and I feel like the universe is gonna take care of us, and eventually things are gonna be all right. But I don't know, some shit gotta change. So, just continue to support my people, and y'all, having these conversations, making people aware. I feel like it's really important, and having allies and reporting the correct information is important.
Right.
So,
Something we talked about in the beginning of this was the air freshener thing. And then, you pretty much right off the jump were like, no, it wasn't the air freshener. It was the expired tag. So it's like, how much of these protests and these riots that are going on and this anger, like at
It's
some point
fueled by the wrong
does the
thing.
media need to have any some sort of responsibility?
100%.
Because
Yeah.
It's being
'Cause
fueled by
they're
the complete
inciting
wrong
shit.
thing.
They're
Yeah, of
definitely
course.
inciting wars and shit. I do agree with that. You know, but that's why I think that we need to have somebody like the black people don't have a leader. That's just really the main issue. Like when Malcolm X and Martin Luther King were around, there was somebody that was, you know, guiding us or leading us, or we had a wave of communication. Right now we don't have that. So we're kind of all over the place. So, you know, it just, I don't know. I could talk about this for hours, y'all. My brain.
no,
is fucking-
I think that's great. I think that's a great sentiment as far as
And it's just like even the media coverage. It's like we don't even have a black network where we can talk about that kind of thing. It's like
Yeah.
if there was somebody giving a, you know, unbiased opinion who was out there in the streets, like, hey, this is what's happening. This is coming from both sides. I think that would be beautiful. But because you have Fox News and all these fucking racist ass motherfucking shits out there, you know, inciting racism and reporting things, you know, and the way that they're naming things as racist. It's like shit that's not even racist is being called racist. It's like. It's just too much. And it's just like the media either needs to report the right things or stay the fuck out of it.
it's like when you see the looting and like how you said, like, oh, I know that area. That area is majority black. It's like it almost seems like it's an all for one mentality. Like people aren't trying to help each other. And like you said,
Yeah.
there isn't a black leader that is trying to empower.
Yeah, exactly.
Other
There's
black-
no one
other
stepping
black
up and
people.
saying, hey, okay, I know you guys are upset, but we need to stop fucking our areas up. You know, like Killer
Right.
Mike or
Yeah.
somebody should be coming to the community like, yo, I understand we're pissed, but let's go here. Let's not go here. Because it's like at the end of the day, they're not going to rebuild those areas.
Right.
There's not enough money. There's
There's
not
no
enough
funding.
funding.
Yeah.
Like, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
You
and
know what I mean?
and just for context, we were there after the George Floyd riots last summer,
Yeah.
and just driving around, and it was eerie. It was eerie, and there was a lot of buildings completely burned to the
Yeah.
ground, that whole area, and it was really sad. I've never seen that in person, that much destruction
Yeah.
in one area.
Well, to sum it up, because I just, this also, it weighs on my anxiety, having to talk about this all the time. It's like, it's a lot. And like everybody that I know wants to talk about this all the time. So it's like, I'm glad we talked about it, but also like,
Yeah, we can move on.
I'm ready to wrap it up. Okay, well, you know, I'm glad we got to talk about that. And we're also, like I said earlier, going to include some links so you can donate to any funds that have been started for Duante Wright and any organizations that are trying to help out people and victims in Minnesota. So, yeah. So, thanks for coming today, Akash. We really love your
Thanks
input.
for having me.
We can't believe you're a cop, and damn, that was really helpful. So, we
Yeah, and
appreciate you.
he was way more researched than we were.
100%.
We just kind of leaned on him this whole time. I'm
Speak
like,
for yourself.
so anyway, what did
Right, no.
he was like, oh, the taser was the same manufacturer as
Oh, I love
America.
that
It's
shit.
like, what
or
the
or
hell?
the fact that she like saved somebody from like a burning fire or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, she won Medal of Honor. I was
Medal
like, what the hell? How the hell do you know that? No,
Yes.
you know what it is? He's probably looking at that UK media,
Yeah.
and they just tell the whole story. And our
100%.
media were like,
There's no
there was an air
fucks there.
freshener. I don't know. Fuck.
Yeah.
It's like Jesus.
Right.
Any other information? Do we know? Like,
No
goddamn.
Fox News there.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you for tuning to I'm Not Racist. My second cousin is black.
Make sure you like
Okay.
and subscribe and turn on the notification bell. And we're also on Apple Podcast and Spotify. And what else? Anything else you want to tell them?
Check out our Instagram.
Instagram.
Every time I say Instagram, I always think about Jay-Z's line when he said, back then when you was selling Instagram, the last thing you wanted was your picture snapped. Get it?
Oh,
Fucking bars. Anyways, yeah, check out our Instagram. You can find it on either one of our pages at the Supreme Court and Matthew Russell Official. Check it out. We have some really funny clips. And stay tuned for our next podcast. Love you guys.